Good evening, everybody. This is Steel Sermon in the house. Friday night with another video, as it is the schedule release for the 2023 NFL season. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, link in the description below. So yes, as I said, the schedule's out. It's all set. And I will be making my initial schedule prediction for the 2023 Pittsburgh Steelers. This is my initial schedule prediction. I will have a second one out, aka my final prediction out, about a week or so before preseason begins in August. So, yeah, as I said, this is just me looking at it for the first time. My initial thoughts, my initial reaction, and there's two things about this schedule that I don't like that I think every Steeler fan can agree with when I say. The first thing I don't like is that we have two Thursday night games. I was never on board with Thursday night. I don't care who we play. I do not like Thursday night games. It's just limited practice. You don't get a full week's rest in. You only get about a half a week of rest in, and you're just not 100% good to go on Thursday night games. So I think everyone can attest to that, regardless if you're a Steeler fan or not. So that's the first thing I don't like. The second thing I don't like is that we have an early bye. Okay, we have one of the first bye weeks this season, and I'll get to the bye week in a little bit, but not a fan of early buys. We usually have our bye at around between the Steelers typically have the bye week between the weeks of 8 through 10. I think that's a fair spot to put a bye week. You know, if you have to have the bye week, you know, put it have it start around week 7 or 8, you know, but typically, we have our bye week between weeks 8 through 10, but we have an early bye this year, which I do not like. But nothing I can do about it, but let's get on to it. These are my initial schedule predictions for the Pittsburgh Steelers for 2023. Let's get on to it. So, kicking off our season, how about this for a change? For the first time since 2014, the Pittsburgh Steelers start their season at home. Week 1, we got quite a dandy as the San Francisco 49ers come to town. That'll be on September 10th. That is a 1 o'clock kickoff time on Fox. Now, this is going to be a very interesting game for a couple of reasons. Obviously, number one, this is a game that I'm planning on going to, actually. There's 4 games that are very distinct possibilities that I could end up going to this year, and this is one of them. So I just got to take a look at ticket prices. I have not had a chance to take a look at them yet, but I do plan on going to at least one of these games this year, and this is one that I had on mind. The 49ers. I always wanted to see an NFC team, and if you know me, you know I've always had a lot of respect for the 49ers fan base out there, and I always thought it'd be pretty cool to see them come to Pittsburgh and play. But we got the 49ers week 1. San Francisco has possibly the best defense in the entire league. It looks like they're going to be going with Trey Lance, and even if he gets hurt, they still got Brock Purdy, who's been playing pretty good for him all season last year. And they got a potent run game, and it's just going to be a very difficult matchup here. And if you know the Steelers in recent seasons, we usually start the season off slow. I just think the 49ers are just a better constructed team than we are as I'm recording this video right now. So even though it is at home to begin the season, I have us dropping week 1 to the 49ers right now. So we start the season off at 0-1. Then week 2. We stay at home for week 2. So how about that? First 2 weeks of the season, we are at home, and it's a Monday night game on September 18th. We take on the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football, week 2. So, typically we sweep the Browns, but in recent years we've been splitting with them, because the Browns have gotten more competitive, and it kind of seems like they're starting to beat us a little bit more. I mean, usually it'd be, you could pencil the Steelers in for sweeping the Browns pretty much just about every season, but if you follow the trend, it's just been splits nonetheless with the Browns. I anticipate Deshaun Watson to start this game for the Browns, obviously. They have also made some really big offseason moves, and they really nailed their draft as well. So this is going to be a very good matchup, but I am going to give us a win for this one simply due to the fact that it is a home game, and the Browns are just miserable when they come to Pittsburgh. Well, except for the wild card game a couple years ago. But other than that, the Browns are miserable when they come to Pittsburgh. They have not won a regular season game against us in Pittsburgh since 2003, which was also a Monday night game. Hope I don't jinx anything by saying that now that I think about it. And since Heinz Field opened up in 2001, the Browns have only beaten us twice in Pittsburgh. And going all the way back to 1970, since the merger was back in 1970, get this, in 53 years, the Browns have only beaten us 7 times total in Pittsburgh. 7 times total in Pittsburgh since 1970. Pretty much, that's almost one win every 8 years, pretty much, in Pittsburgh. So I expect that trend to continue. I got us evening our record to 1-1 after week 2. Week 3, another primetime game as we are on the road this time, and it's a Sunday nighter out in Las Vegas as an old rivalry is renewed, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, these two met last year on Christmas Eve at Pittsburgh to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, and the Steelers pulled away with a 13-10 win over the Raiders. Kenny Pickett conducting a beautiful fourth quarter comeback, probably the crowning jewel of his career, of his young career so far. But Vegas, I mean, they have really not had a good offseason. They just figure to be, kind of hanging in there for the playoff race again. I mean, I know they got Jimmy Garoppolo, but I mean, come on. Do you really see this Raider team as being a legit threat to anybody aside from maybe Josh Jacobs, who we shut down in that game, by the way, when that was easily the biggest thing I was worried about with our rush defense heading in. But that's the thing. The Raiders are notorious for giving us an incredibly hard time. And even when they were god-awful back in the 2000s and we were a Super Bowl contender, we could just never beat these guys, especially on the road. Well, this will be the first time that we ever play the Raiders in Vegas. The last time that we were on the road against them, you got to go back to the 2018 season when it featured one of the matchups in my fandom that made me legit want to punch a hole through my wall. As we went to Oakland, we lost a game to the Raiders that we had absolutely no business losing. The worst I've ever seen Mike Tomlin leaving Big Ben out on the sidelines when he was cleared to play and not putting him in until we were losing in the final minutes of the game. That made me so angry. And I think I even have my rant about that saved in my drive. That's how mad I was. But, yeah, Steelers and the Raiders. The last time the Steelers beat the Raiders on the road, you got to go back to 1995. So pretty much, since I was born, the Steelers have only beaten the Raiders on the road once. That is absolutely mind-blowing. So anyway, this is a Sunday night football game. It's on September 24th. It's going to be on NBC, obviously. I hate to do this, but I'm going to give us a loss here. I mean, this just screams trap game in my opinion. Although I will say, Big Ben usually just struggled against the Raiders on the road. We don't know if Kenny Pickett is going to have that same vibe that Big Ben did. But for right now, until that trend is snapped, I'm going to give us an L here to fall to 1-2. Next up, we got probably the easiest one on the schedule. Week 4, October 1st, we are at the Houston Texans. I'm just going to give us a W right here. There is just no reason why we should lose this game. I mean, I know the Texans drafted well and everyone's expecting them to improve, but you got to know at the end of the day, it's the Houston Texans. They're one of the worst teams in the league, and I just think that we are, it's a game that we should win. That's what it all boils down to. I'll be incredibly shocked if we lose this game. I mean, I know we play down to competition more often than not, but, I mean, come on. This is a game that we have zero business losing. So I'm going to give us a dub here to go to 2-2. Then Week 5. This is another game that I anticipate that I have a possibility of going to as well. Sunday, October 8th. We are at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Last time the Ravens came to Pittsburgh, they beat us. Mitch Trubisky gave them 3 interceptions. Terrible game. Absolutely terrible game. Cost us the game straight up. And that was with the Ravens having Huntley in that game, I believe. I don't think Lamar played. But now that the Ravens extended Lamar, I anticipate him to play in this Week 5 matchup here. I expect him to play in both games, to be honest with you. But anyway, Ravens-Steelers Week 5. I have never been to a Ravens-Steelers game. That's why this one was circled on my calendar as well, with games that I would want to go to. I've never been to a Ravens-Steelers game. I've been to a Bengals-Steelers game. I've been to tons of Browns-Steelers games, but I've never been to a Ravens-Steelers game. I hope to make that come to fruition this season. In recent years, the Ravens have had better success against us in Pittsburgh, but Lamar typically struggles against us. He has been known to turn in his worst performances of his career against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it just kind of seems like the Ravens are a better road team than they are a home team. And just the fact that they have given us a lot of grief in Pittsburgh, especially in games where Big Ben is not the starting quarterback, I think the Ravens are going to get us at home again, unfortunately. If I end up going to this game and we take the L here, it's going to stink big time. So I'm going to say we drop to 2-3. And then Week 6 is our bye week. Yeah, Week 6 is our bye week. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I do not like the fact at all that we have an early bye. We're one of the first teams to have the bye week this year. I just don't like that. But, what can I do about it? Week 6 is our bye week. Then we are back on the road Week 7. We are at the Los Angeles Rams. This one is at SoFi. It's a 4:05 kickoff time. Of course, it'll be 1:05 in LA because of the 3-hour difference, October 22nd. Steelers and the Rams. Last time we played them, defense suffocated Jared Goff all game as the Steelers walked away with a W over the Rams, who were the defending NFC champions at the time. Now the Rams are coming in, and they are the worst defending Super Bowl champ of all time. That's no exaggeration either. They statistically are. They went, 5-12, 4-13, something like that. But you got to know, Sean McVay, he is a really good head coach. He's a top 10 head coach in the league. The Rams are probably going to be fully healthy this year. Stafford's probably going to be back. He's probably going to have most of his targets again. And the Rams, they got a stingy defense out there in LA that can take care of business here. So I think this is a matchup that's going to be won on the ground here. The Steelers notoriously play very poorly in the state of California, especially in Los Angeles. The last time the Steelers won in LA, you got to go back to like the 80s or the 70s or 80s. It has been a minute since the Steelers have won out in LA. Actually, you know what? We beat the Chargers in LA back in 2019, but that doesn't take away the fact that the Steelers are notorious for playing poorly out in LA or in California in general. But I will say this. I think the Steelers won up the Rams here because of our run game. I'm not really on board with LA's run game on here, and I think that our rush defense is a really big mismatch for them, and I think that our pass defense can step up here big time. So I'm actually going to give us a win here. Yes, I know that, the Rams are probably going to be better than they were last year, but I don't know. I just really don't buy them as being this amazing team that people are hyping them up to be. So for that reason, I just think that the Steelers are going to go out to LA and get this W over the Rams. So yeah, I'm going to say we go to 3-3 after week 7. Give us a dub over the Rams. Next up, October 29th, which is week 8, we host the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm telling you this right here, right now, I do not have a good feeling about this one. This matchup between these two teams has always been road dominated. We have always played better against the Jags in Jacksonville, and the Jags always play us better in Pittsburgh. Do I need to remind you the last time the Jags came to Pittsburgh? I do not need to remind you. The Jags, they are going to be a very big sleeper team this year. I anticipate it. Trevor Lawrence has made some phenomenal progress with the Jags. Doug Peterson has done a magnificent job down there in Duval County. And the Jags, they got a good young defense that they're high on for the future here. And it's going to be a really big test for our offense here. So, I think these two teams can kind of be similar to each other this year, but just the fact that Jacksonville, they just always seem to have our number at home, I got to give us an L here. I don't have a good feeling about this game. I really don't. So, I'm going to say we drop to 3-4. Oh boy, next up we got a Thursday game. Our first of 2 Thursday games. I just cannot believe that. I mean, I like Thanksgiving games. I think everyone does, but, I mean, come on. At least limit the amount of Thursday games, okay? If you have to keep them, at least limit them. Don't make them every single week of the season. But anyway, our first Thursday game of the year, it's November 2nd. It's on Prime, of course, and Prime Video is just stupid. I can't stand Prime. We got the Tennessee Titans coming to Pittsburgh on November 2nd. This is a game I want. The Titans are a team that I've wanted to see as well, and I was going to go see this game, but it's most likely going to be during my work hours, and, my boss has been strict about PTO lately, so I don't think I'm going to go to this one, which is a shame. But anyway, Titans and the Steelers. The Titans, I think they're going to have a rough year this year, because it's just going to be musical chairs at quarterback this year. I think Derrick Henry is literally going to be the only reason that the Titans are going to be any kind of competitive this year. But if you ask me, Tennessee's just a mediocre team, and I think that we're in better shape than the Titans are right now. We've had Tennessee's number lately, so despite, the shortened week, at least I have to say this about our Thursday games. At least our Thursday games, we stay at home from the following opponent in both instances. Okay? That's a silver lining right there. And with a schedule like this, you have to take any kind of silver lining possible. But still, I'm just not on board with 2 Thursday games at all. So, I'm going to say we actually get the win over the Titans here. I just think that we match up well against them. I think that the Titans are kind of cursed against us as well, going back to the 2008 season when Keith Bullock and Lendale White stomped on the towel, and it's just been downhill for the Titans against us ever since then. So I'm going to say we get the job done over Tennessee to improve to 4-4. The way I see it, these back-to-back games between the Jags and Titans, I think we should come away with at least a split. So I'm going to say lose to Jacksonville, beat Tennessee, we go to 4-4. Then we have 3 straight home games. How about that? We're at home a lot this season, man. Week 10, we got the Green Bay Packers at home. That is November 12th. This is another game that I have a good possibility of going to as well. With me, it depends on which ticket I can afford the most, you know. But anyway, week 10, we got the Packers and the Steelers. 1 o'clock kickoff time at Acrisure Stadium. And speaking of teams that are just gonna have a miserable year with quarterback situations, it's the Green Bay Packers. My buddy and I at work were talking about this not too long ago, and he says that the Packers should honestly tank this year for Caleb Williams, and I kind of see where he's going with that, you know. They just lost Aaron Rodgers. Even if he was still there, they'd still be eating all his cap. And honestly, Green Bay should just have a throwaway year this year. I mean, Jordan Love's probably going to be their starter, and they're not going to be competitive. Detroit and Minnesota are honestly better than them, and Chicago even might be better than them right now. So, Green Bay, I mean, this should just be a throwaway year for them and tank to get Caleb Williams. They should be in similar situations like the Cardinals, you know? Just tank for a quarterback. Or maybe Indianapolis, I don't know. But the point is, I don't think Green Bay is going to be good this year. The Packers, they don't play well against us in Pittsburgh. I'm going to say we get the job done over Green Bay here to improve to 5-4. So we're over 500 for the first time this year. 5-4 is my prediction for the Steelers through 10 weeks. Then week 11, we head up north to play the Cleveland Browns on November 19th in Cleveland. As I said, we had played these guys back in week 2 on a Monday night game. Now we go to their place for a regular kickoff time. I said that I anticipate a split, and I'm sticking by that. So I'm going to say the Browns get us in Cleveland while we get them in Pittsburgh. We drop back to 500 at 5-5. And then we stay in Ohio as week 12. We head on down to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. So we don't play the Bengals until deep into the season. We opened up the season with them last year. Steelers and the Bengals, week 12, November 26th at Paycor Stadium. This one took me a little bit to think about as well, because on one hand, the Bengals obviously should be a Super Bowl contender. They should obviously be a playoff team. But the Bengals, they kind of underperform against the division lately. I mean, they went 3-3 against the division last year. And then in week 1 of last year's game, Joe Burrow had a terrible game. Threw 4 interceptions against us. And it just seemed like they were really off-key in that game. And plus, the Steelers have a great track record of going down to Cincinnati and beating the Bengals. I'm really torn here, man. I really don't know what to do here, man. But it's just the fact that when in doubt, go home team. I think I'm going to go with that logic here. I'm going to say that the Bengals get us in Cincinnati. We drop to 5-6. Although it would not surprise me in the least bit if we actually go down to Cincinnati and get the job done over the Bengals. But for right now, I'm going to say we drop to 5-6. Week 13, we return home, and we got a Super Bowl 43 rematch with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday, December 3rd. So December 3rd, we play on my brother's birthday too, December 3rd. As I'll explain why I said that too. But yeah, we play on my brother's birthday. How about that? Sunday, December 3rd, we play the Arizona Cardinals. This is probably the second easiest game on the schedule here. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be all that good this year. They're probably going to move on from Kyler Murray, and they are probably just looking forward to next year's draft as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give us a W here to improve to 6-6 through 13 weeks of the season. Give me this dub over the Redbirds. And then, Week 14 on Thursday, December 7th, a.k.a. my 28th birthday. So how about that? We play both on my brother's and my own birthday this year. I don't think that has ever happened as long as I've been a fan. But anyway, Week 14, on my birthday, Thursday night, we play the New England Patriots. Okay? So, like I said in the Thursday game with the Titans, I can't stress enough, I hate Thursday games. I do. I always have. But, at least with our Thursday games, we stay at home with our previous opponent following into the next week. And it happens with both instances. Does it make up for it? No, it doesn't. But it's just a silver lining, like I said. So, obviously, we all know the history with the Patriots and the Steelers. New England has dominated us for the better part of the last 20 years. We have not beaten these guys since 2018. And when they played us last year in Pittsburgh, they narrowly beat us thanks to Gunnar Olszewski muffing a punt and Mitch Trubisky playing like a scared little wuss in that game as well. So, that's all I got to say about that one. I will say, though, Kenny Pickett should start in this one. At least he should be if he's healthy to go in this one. The Patriots, I don't know how they're able to read Kenny Pickett in this one, and definitely their defense is going to pose a big challenge here. So I think it's going to be a contest of who blinks first on defense here, because New England's offense is very lackluster. They did like next to nothing this offseason to improve it, and they're just setting up Mac Jones for failure, plain and simple. So if I had to go with the hotter hand here as far as the offense goes, I think it's us. Because, sure, our offense underachieves at times, but at least with our offense, we're trending upwards and we're building around Kenny Pickett and we're trying to make him succeed. The Patriots, I don't know what they're doing over there with Mac Jones. I don't know if they want to move on from him. I don't know if they're going to give him a third or a fourth, maybe even a fifth year. I don't know if they want to tank for Caleb Williams. I don't know if they're still thinking they can stubbornly be competitive. I don't know. The fact of the matter is, my honest opinion, they're setting up Mac Jones for failure. And I don't think the Patriots are going to get so lucky this time. So I am actually going to go with the W here over the Patriots to improve to 7-6. Another note here. In my lifetime, the Steelers have never lost on my birthday. That's right. Steelers have never lost on my birthday. The times that we played on my birthday that I can remember, I would say the first matchup occurred in my fandom. I believe it was 2005, if I'm not mistaken. No, 2006. It was 2006. We beat the Browns at home on my birthday. That was my 11th birthday. 2 years later, on my 13th birthday, we beat the Dallas Cowboys in 2008. One of my favorite games of all time. We rallied from a 10-point deficit to beat them. Then I believe we played them in... Then I believe that we played on my birthday 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was 2011. Somewhere around there, 2011, I think. We beat the Browns again on my birthday. And then 2014, we beat the Bengals in Cincinnati on my birthday, on my 19th birthday. And to the best of my knowledge, that is the last time that we have played on my birthday. So this will be for the first time in 9 years that the Steelers will play on my birthday. So how about that? Patriots and the Steelers on December 7th, which is a Thursday nighter. Then week 15, we head on to Indianapolis to play the Colts. I don't know why it says on the schedule here that the date and time is to be determined. But if I had to take a guess, I would probably just say it's going to be on December 17th, and it's going to be a 1 o'clock game. But it's the Steelers and the Colts in Indy. The Colts, it just don't matter who they have at quarterback. It don't matter who they have as far as talent goes. We always beat these guys, and I see no reason for that trend to stop. I'm going to go with us to beat the Colts here to improve to 8-6. I just think that Indy is just a massive work in progress here. They're another team that should tank for a quarterback, in my opinion. All they really have is Jonathan Taylor at this point, and even he isn't really much of a superstar anymore. He's a very good running back, don't get me wrong, but I can't call him a superstar. I think our defense will be able to manage with him. But I'm going to go ahead and give us a dub over the Colts here to improve to 8-6. Then, on Saturday, December 23rd, a 4:30 kickoff time. It's our final home game of the season. We host the Cincinnati Bengals. And this is the final game. I mean, better go out with a bang, right? It's the last home game of the year. The final game that I have a possibility of going to, because this would make the most sense for me personally, because it's the day before Christmas Eve, and usually I'm in Pennsylvania around this time of year anyway. So from a logical standpoint, even though I have seen the Bengals before, this would make the most sense for me to go to this year. However, I just want to see other opponents. I would like to see the 49ers. I would like to see the Packers. I've never been to a Ravens-Steelers game, as I said before. But if I'm going by logic, this one actually makes the most sense for me to go to. The Bengals and the Steelers, 4:30 kickoff game. This is going to be Saturday on an NBC, as I just said. I said the Bengals would get us in Cincinnati for the first game. I'm going to say for this one, we get the split. I think that we'll beat the Bengals, earn the split with them, improve to 9-6 on the year. You got to imagine that the Bengals will be fighting for a playoff spot, possibly a division title, and we're going to be in desperation mode as well. And I just feel like when Tomlin unleashes his best brand of football. 9-6, we clinch another winning season. And then the final 2 weeks of the year, Week 17, a rematch of Super Bowl 40, as we are at Seattle on New Year's Eve. 4:05 kickoff time. Of course, it's a 1:05 kickoff time in Seattle. Steelers and the Seahawks on New Year's Eve. How about that? Well, the Seahawks are an interesting bunch. They got better in the offseason as well. They're high on Geno Smith. They're high with their draft picks this year, and Seattle, I think, took everyone by surprise last year with the season they had, fleecing the Denver Broncos in that trade with Russell Wilson. And I think the Seahawks are just set up to have, a really good resurgence with them and revitalization. And the biggest X factor here, I'm always looking for X factors no matter what. We don't play well in Seattle. I can't tell you the last time that we won in Seattle. It had to have been before I was born. I can tell you that much. So just the fact that the Seahawks are just kind of on a mission here, I think that the Seahawks will get the job done. Again, it's one of those games that can go either way. But for right now, I'm going to say the Seahawks win. We fall to 9-7. And then wrapping up the season, Week 18, we are at the Ravens. Again, this is to be determined with the date and the time. Although if I had to take a guess, it's probably going to be on January 7th. It could be a late Sunday afternoon game. Probably will be a 1 o'clock game. Who knows? It could probably be the last primetime game of the season. That would be pretty awesome. But Steelers and the Ravens in Baltimore. And like I said with the Ravens in Week 5, they usually play us better in Pittsburgh. Well, guess what? It goes that way with us too. We have beaten the Ravens 5 out of the last 6 times in Baltimore. Kenny Pickett, last year against the well, technically it was back in January, but you get it. When the Steelers and Ravens played in Week 17 of this past season, Kenny Pickett rallied the team from a 10-point deficit and beat the Ravens in Baltimore, kept our playoff hopes alive, and Baltimore's defense had not allowed a touchdown or something like that in the fourth quarter in, like, I don't know how long. It was something crazy. And Kenny Pickett just led it effortlessly as the Steelers pulled away with a W over the Ravens. You know, we're coming in this one 9-7 in my prediction. Baltimore could possibly have clinched a playoff berth by now, or they could still be alive for it. I'm going to say we go to Baltimore, play spoiler again. So that's right. I think we take 6 out of 7 against the Ravens in Baltimore, and I think that we win our 4th in a row against them in Baltimore. Until that trend continues, I'm going to say Ravens beat us at home, we beat them at home. We beat them at their home, you know? It's just how it goes. It went from being a home-dominated rivalry to a road-dominated rivalry. I'm going to say we beat the Ravens. So as of right now, my initial schedule prediction for the Steelers, I'm going to say as of right now, we go 10-7. Best case scenario, we keep the injuries at a minimum. You know, Kenny Pickett shows progression. The run game keeps doing what they're doing. Receivers start stepping up. Targets play well. The defense continues to shine through in certain areas. And, yeah, the defense has a couple cracks in it, like the pass defense and the corners at times. But all in all, I see us one-upping our record from last year as of right now. Got to call that a little bit of improvement. But, yeah, my prediction right now, we go 10-7. Obviously, this could change by August, but 10-7 could be good enough for a playoff spot, especially with how the playoffs are formatted now and how many weeks there are in a season. A 10-7 record could be good enough for a playoff spot, and that's what I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at right now. 10-7, my record prediction for the Steelers right now. Let me know what you think down below. This is Steel Sermon checking on out for the night. May God be with you all.